What if I told you one of the most powerful things in your wellness toolkit is probably already tucked away in your medicine cabinet and it costs just a few bucks? Well, today we are diving deep into castor oil. Yeah, that common, super inexpensive oil that, according to our source material, has this incredible range of uses, way more than you'd ever guess.
So, the big question we're asking is this super common household item actually a powerful, multi purpose remedy that's been hiding in plain sight all along? Let's dig in and see what tradition and our source material has to say about what this stuff can really do.
Okay, so before we jump into all the incredible benefits, we've got to start with the basics. The oil itself, because it turns out what it looks and feels like is actually a huge part of its whole story. All right, let's be real for a second. Castor oil isn't exactly the most glamorous product out there. I mean, it's thick, it's sticky, and a lot of people think it has a pretty funky smell. But that kind of unassuming exterior, it's hiding what's known as a total natural powerhouse. And that contrast might be the very reason so many of us just walk right past it. Okay, now this next part is absolutely crucial, and it's something our source really hammers home. The way the oil is made. For castor oil to actually work its magic, it has to be cold pressed. See, if they use heat or chemicals to get the oil out, it just destroys all the most valuable compounds, like ricinoleic acid, and makes it way, way less powerful. So if you're ever going to buy a bottle, you have to look for the words cold pressed on the label. It's non-negotiable. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. We're going to start with the applications that have made this oil a secret weapon in so many beauty routines. We're talking skin, hair, the whole deal. So according to our source, Dr. Nadal Abudadi, you should think of the stuff as a natural beauty kit all in one bottle. I mean, it's legendary for helping you get thicker, longer eyelashes and eyebrows, but it's also a powerhouse moisturizer that can help soften the look of wrinkles. And because it's got these anti-inflammatory properties, it might even help calm down acne. Oh, and for your hair, just work it into your scalp to nourish the roots and help support growth. The typical way to do it is just to put it on at night and then wash it all out in the morning. Simple as that. And that quote from Dr. Abarati really hits the nail on the head, right? Use it so your lashes become long. It perfectly explains why so many people give castor oil a try in the first place. I mean, the idea of getting longer, fuller lashes from something so simple and natural, it's a huge draw. And it's probably one of the most talked about benefits you'll hear about. Okay, so the beauty applications are pretty incredible, right? But believe it or not, the potential uses for castor oil go way, way deeper than just the surface of your skin. So now we're going to shift gears and look at some of the internal health applications that our source material talks about. Now, this next one is really fascinating. Our source says that using warm castor oil packs, like a compress, right over the neck area can actually help support the thyroid gland. But, and this is a really important but, it's specifically for hyperthyroidism. That's an overactive thyroid. It's super important to get that distinction right, because this is not for an underactive thyroid. And using that exact same idea, these warm compresses are apparently used for other things too. The source mentions putting them on the breasts for fibroids or on the abdomen to help with things like uterine fibroids, ovarian cysts, and even to help manage symptoms of polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. And the list keeps going. A castor oil pack placed over the upper right part of your abdomen, right where your liver sits, is said to help support liver function and ease things like congestion, maybe in cases of a fatty liver. The thinking behind it is that it helps kickstart the body's own natural detox processes. So we've gone over what it can be used for, but how do you actually do it? Let's get practical now and break down the two main ways to apply it that are mentioned in our source. Making a compress is actually really simple. First thing you'll do is take a piece of natural fabric, wool or cotton flannel works great, and soak it in castor oil. You don't want it dripping everywhere, just nice and saturated. Then you gently warm it up, but make sure it's not too hot to touch. From there, you just place the compress right on your skin over whatever area you're targeting, your neck, your abdomen, wherever. To get the best results, the source recommends you do this about 3 times a week. Okay, and if that sounds like a bit of work, there's an even simpler method. It's called navel oiling. The idea behind it is pretty cool. It's that your belly button is this central hub, connected to tons of nerves all over your body. So by putting just 1 drop of castor oil in your navel and gently massaging it for a minute or two, the claim is that you can spread those benefits all through your system. And just like the compress, the recommendation is about 3 times a week. All right, we've talked about all the good stuff and how to do it, but this next part, this is the most important part of the entire discussion.
Seriously. Before you even think about using castor oil, it is absolutely critical that you understand the safety warnings. We're getting serious here for a very, very good reason. Okay, let's be crystal clear about this first one. Yes, it's great for your eyelashes, but you must never, ever put castor oil directly inside your eye. It's a heavy, thick oil, and it can cause really serious problems, even damage to your cornea. You only ever apply it externally, very carefully on the lash line of your eyelids, not in the eye, period. Here's another huge warning. Castor oil is known for its ability to stimulate uterine contractions, and because of that, it has to be strictly avoided during pregnancy. The only possible exception that's ever mentioned is sometimes in the very final days of pregnancy, and even then, it should only be considered under the direct supervision of a doctor or midwife. No exceptions. And finally, do not ingest this stuff. Just don't. Yeah, you might have heard stories about it being used as a laxative back in the day, but swallowing castor oil is actually pretty dangerous. It causes such severe diarrhea that it can lead to dangerous dehydration, the kind that could land you in the hospital needing an IV. Remember, every single application we have talked about today is for external use only. You know, speaking of what you put on your skin, our source makes a really interesting comparison. If all you want is a simple moisturizer, both castor oil and Vaseline can give you a similar feel. But the key difference the source points out is where they come from. Castor oil is totally natural, from a plant. Vaseline, on the other hand, is a petroleum product. So it really just comes down to a choice between something plant-based versus something petroleum-based. So, after everything we've talked about, all these potential benefits, you're probably wondering what this natural powerhouse costs, right? Well, according to our source, it's incredibly cheap. A bottle was picked up for less than 12 euros. And honestly, that low price and easy access is a massive part of why it's been so popular for so long. And all of this really brings us to one final big idea to chew on. The story of castor oil, this simple, cheap, plant-based thing with such a huge range of claimed uses, it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other traditional remedies are out there, things we might have dismissed or totally forgotten about, that are just hiding some powerful benefits, waiting for us to take a closer, modern look? Definitely something to think about.